Hey planner friends, how's it going? Thanks so much for stopping by my channel. My name is Ryan and this is The Man with the Plans. And we are back and we are in my Erin Condren Deluxe Monthly Planner here. This will be my budget notebook for 2019. And I went ahead and did this the other night when I was setting this up, and I posted this on Instagram and it seemed to have gotten a decent amount of traction. So I figured I might as well do a YouTube video on it. So for those of you that are new here, welcome. A Man with the Plans is a channel all about sort of organization, lifestyle, planning, budgeting in particular. And so if you're into any of those things, go ahead and give it a subscribe. And content comes out every Monday and every Thursday, and we're so excited to have you here. For me personally, a little bit about me. My name is Ryan. I live in the Midwest. I am a single individual working on baby step 2 right now, paying off, I believe, over $60,000 in student loan debt and one car that's left. I will leave a link to some of my baby snowball updates there. For me though, I've started this journey a couple of years ago, and it included a move across country and all sorts of other interesting things. But whenever I start a new budget notebook for the new year, I like to go back to the basics. One, I always go ahead and listen to, again, the Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. I will leave that linked in the comment box, in the description box, down below if you haven't heard of it. Dave Ramsey is a financial guru with quite a community here on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Just look for the hashtag debt-free community, and it's kind of a really interesting place where everyone's sort of banding together to really work towards financial fitness. But anyone in that community is working on this, the baby steps, and so it's a 7-step sort of process to move you from using debt as sort of a hindrance to moving forward with, financial wellness, and getting rid of that and being able to build wealth and give wealth and live the life that you always wanted. And for me, it's important to remind myself what I'm working towards. I feel like the holiday season gets you into this frenzy of spend, 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 gifts and drinks and food and snacks and everything in excess, and I needed to take a moment, back up, really think about here, all right, what am I working towards every day? When I have the urge to whip out my debit card and swipe it for something or for an experience, is that pulling me or pushing me towards this? Because if it's pulling me away from this, it shouldn't happen. If it's pushing me towards it, then that's okay. And so for me, this was a fun little exercise. I used a lot of the Chris Ann Designs by Michael's budget tools, as well as some Erin Condren stuff. And then as always, for those of you that are interested, these are my favorite pens of all time. It's the Papermate Flair. I think they're super fun. They come in 800 colors, basically. I'll have these linked down below for you as well. But I figured that I would walk through the baby steps and just give my sort of take on where I've been with the journey, as well as, sort of what are the main points there. So let's zoom you guys in a little bit and we can chat about these. Okay, and we can't fit all of them in one here, but that's all right. We'll focus on these top couple. There we go. All right, so obviously the only one I can admit to having checked off completely is baby step 1. And Dave admits that baby step 1 is the easiest because it's usually the easiest in terms of getting $1,000 together. So the step is pretty simple. Save $1,000 fast for a starter emergency fund. So for me, this was just in my checking account. I created a savings account and saved for, I think it was probably 2 weeks, actually a full month, so 2 full paychecks, and put away the extra money I was spending into this savings account, so that it can just sort of sit there whenever I need something. When I first started this, I kind of thought, well, I'm never going to really use that. It won't take me this long. And I quickly found that, yeah, things are going to come up. That's why life is a thing. Life happens to all of us. And so for me, there were certain things like car repairs and other areas where I've had to go back down to $500, stop the snowball, replenish the emergency fund, and leave it. The one nice thing about my checking and savings is it's through Bank of America, and for some reason they have this keep the change thing. So whenever you have $2.75, then the other quarter will go into your savings account. So probably twice a year I take the sort of savings that's sort of chucked in there. It's usually like 60, 120 bucks-ish, in that range, depending on how much I spend. And I throw it as a debt snowball payment too, which is kind of funny. I could leave it in there, and maybe I should, because I do feel like sometimes $1,000 isn't enough to tackle every emergency, but that's where I've been. It felt really good to get that quick win. I don't think I've had $1,000 just sitting waiting for me if I needed it for a long time before starting this plan, so it was nice to have a security blanket, especially as a single adult. I'm gonna move you guys over a little bit so we can see the second debt here, the second one. You all fit in the frame now, lovely. So moving on, following this arrow, baby step 2 is the one I'm currently on, and it's paying off all consumer debts from smallest to largest. So some people label this as counterintuitive, right? Because you're supposed to pay the one with the largest interest first because you'd save so much in interest, and you go for the avalanche method where you pay the highest interest rate first and then go from there. And I understand all of those things, and I appreciate that there are some folks and it works for them. However, for me, and this is what Dave says, is that if it was all about math and not behavior, you know, if it was all about mathematics, you know, we wouldn't have a fiscal problem here, but it's about behavior. And for me, tackling those pesky little small debts, I think I had a couple of Peasly little credit cards that were like $300, $800, $600, and getting those out of the way and opening up some space to really start to throw the extra payments at, that felt really good. And so the other thing about the snowball is that obviously you keep paying all your minimum payments, but when you pay off one debt, the minimum payment you had allocated towards that debt, you now sort of roll over and snowball into the next payment. So if your minimum payment was $20 for your first debt and $100 for the second debt, when this first debt is paid, you're now putting $120 into that, plus any other income you can find and come across throughout the month. So it's interesting that the snowball, as it says, builds up in size so that for your last debt, you're throwing $800, $1,000, $1,200, $2,000 a month at this one debt, and it shouldn't feel any different because you've been paying that all along for all of your debts on the minimums. It's pretty crazy. I have 2 debts left. I will link to another video about my financial picture for 2019 up here, but you know, I'm already realizing now that my one student loan and all those credit cards are gone, those minimum payments just keep stacking up, and I'm putting a nice chunk of change every single month towards my second to last debt, which is my car. And it feels good to see that number drop a good amount. So power in sort of changing the psychology and building new habits, at least in my opinion. So for me, once we get done with baby step 2, let's follow that arrow. You're at baby step 3, which is save 3 to 6 months of living expenses to create an emergency fund. So for me, I like this step in particular because it allows you to sort of broaden that safety net of the $1,000 baby emergency fund. So you already start with $1,000 because you have that from step 1. So you got to look at your budget and what do you spend on a typical month, and then either go from 3 or to 6 months and extrapolate out how much you want to be saving. And this is where I think there's some flexibility here in your lifestyle. If you are a single income household and you want to really shore up and have 6 months of living expenses, you can totally do that. If you have 2 income household, or there's 2 folks working and 3 months seems fine, or somewhere in between here it's 10,000 or 12,000 is a nice round number and that's what you want to save for, this step gives you the flexibility to do that, which I think is nice because everybody's life situation is different, and in the face of an emergency, everyone would respond differently. So I think this step for me is really nice because it is super flexible. I'm not there yet, so I can't talk about the work that's happening. Budget Girl, I'll leave a link to her channel over there. She is on baby steps 4, 5, and 6, and I actually think she might be on 7 because she's not, she's saving for retirement, but she doesn't have kids, so she's over that way. Her channel's awesome. I will leave a link to it. Anyway, she did baby step 3 and had some of those fun debt-free charts, which were cool to fill in. So that's really exciting. If you want to check her stuff out, I highly recommend it as well. The next step is 3B, and I will be working on this one at some point. This is where you save up for a 25% down payment on a house. So for me, this makes a lot of sense. At some point, I would like to purchase at least a condo or a townhome. It just makes sense for me, and to be able to have an asset that appreciates over time is something that really does seem exciting to me. So Dave recommends don't go with the 3% down or the 1% down, which seems rather appealing, right? 1% down, 3% down, it can usually be $5,000 at most, right? I can see how that could be very stressful. So having a nice down payment to throw at a house to, 1, reduce the size of your mortgage, but 2, to reduce the time that you're paying off this house, that's really attractive to me. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that. And I'm curious to see what I feel like I'd like to buy and all those things. But right now I currently rent my apartment in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm enjoying it and I enjoy the flexibility of it. But someday when my seasons of life change, you never know where I'll be or what I'm looking for. So that's exciting. So we're gonna move this up, just following the list. Short arrow here over to step 4 in the green. And I chose, we're going rainbow, but I like that this one's in the green here because this is where you really start to leverage your income to work for you. And so it's invest 15% of your household income into retirement. So if it's a 2-person household, it's 15% of the total household income, not just one person's. So this one is going to be interesting for me when I get there. We are required, at least at my current job, to a 6.5% of our income goes into our sort of coordinated retirement plan. I work in government. So I will be looking to invest 15 minus 6.5%, which is what, 8.5, right? Yeah, math. The other 8.5% somewhere else. So I'm wondering what that'll look like. Dave recommends sort of the big 4. And I need to sort of figure that out at some point. I do have a bit of time though, considering I'm 2 steps removed from that right now. But it'll just be really cool to see, being able to up or create an IRA and start to throw money into that and really see it start to work for me and know that I'm actively making good choices to secure my financial future. So that's just exciting and I'm looking forward to it. Moving on down to the blue here, the teal. The next step, baby step 5, is save for kids' college. I put in parentheses if you have any because there are some folks that don't have children or they don't start the Dave Ramsey plan until their children are grown. So if you do have kids or you're planning to have kids, starting I think a 529 or something like that and being able to put money away to be able to help pay for kids' college is really, really exciting. And I think it's really, really important. Having the next generation have a really bright financial future by not being saddled with student loans, I think is important. It really allows them to start using their income towards what's important to them right away. So I think if I ever decide to have children, this is going to be a critical step for me, and I can see how important it is to set the next generation off for success. So I think that's another good step to include. We're on to the last 2 here. So step 6 is to pay off your home early. And if you put down that 25% down payment, figuring out that other 75% over time, it can be challenging, and once you have step 4 with the income done, any other income you can throw at your house. And I've seen people really melt their mortgages, making double payments a month. Like it's just incredible how much interest it's going to save you, and then you really get to reap the benefits of having all of the perks of the appreciation of your property over time really working for you. So this one makes a ton of sense to me, and if I was excited for the other steps, I think that one's going to be the coolest one, is to have a house owned free and clear and just have it be working for me. So I think that's awesome. And then finally the last one here, I had do your thing up there. This is a sticker from Erin, Condren, because at step 7, you've done it all. You've really struggled, you've built your emergency fund, you've paid off all your debt, you've scrimped and you've saved for that 3 to 6 months emergency fund, you've put that down payment on a house, and you have the income for retirement, you've saved for kids' college, you've paid off your house. Now it's really time to build wealth and give. With no payments toward a house, look at the amount of income you could leverage. Just think about it for a second and really use that to make sure to secure your financial future, build that wealth, whether it's through investments or investment real estate, buying a rental property for cash, all those types of things that Dave talks about. And also being able to enjoy yourself, to travel, to do all the things that you wish you could do when you were saving for the baby steps and sort of making those sacrifices. You're totally able to do that now. And the last bit, which I think is the most important, is you can give. Things that are important to you or people in your life that need a little bit of help, you can do that right now. And you don't even have to worry about whether you're gonna sacrifice your own financial future for it because you've done the work. So Dave's phrase that he used all the time for live like no one else, so later you can live and give like no one else. It's just so enticing. Like, to me, it's one of those things that I get excited about because I'll be able to really move this forward in the future. And, getting there, it is a long road, right? Baby step 2, and I'm probably a year or so off from being done. But hey, I know where I'm headed. It's right here. It's laid out on a map here. So let's zoom you guys out so you can see the whole thing and wrap this video up. Woo. There we go. That about wraps up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that red subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it, so you can get all my content into your newsfeed. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it, and it does help me out. I make new videos every Monday and every Thursday. Thursday tends to be my financial videos, so go ahead and make sure you check those out. You can find me over on Instagram at A Man With The Plans. You can also find me over on Facebook at A Man With The Plans, and I do some giveaways here and there regarding planner supplies and all sorts of fun other things. That being said, I also actually just launched a website. It's amanwiththeplans.com, and I tend to go into a little bit more detail than I can in some of these videos, just because I am trying to, I miss writing, it's been fun, and sometimes there are just things that I don't think meet the standards for a full-fledged video, but they're just something I want to share. So I think right now there's a blog post about my word of the year for 2019, which is the word opportunity. So, go ahead and check that out at your leisure. I'd really appreciate it. There's some fun content there. That being said, if you do have any suggestions for things you'd like to see from my channel, go ahead and let me know in the comment box down below. I hope that this video inspires you to either, take a look at the baby steps. I will leave the link for the book down below also. But also, reignite your passion and that gazelle intensity that we're supposed to be working on to really move forward and make 2019 the best possible year it can be for us moving towards our financial future. That being said though, have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, planner friends.